Hi all, welcome to my channel. I'm Bea and I'm glad you're back. Welcome to my new weekly series, Budget-Friendly Backgrounds. I'm gonna post every week a video about backgrounds which I do budget-friendly. Means I don't use those sometimes really expensive specialty products. And I'm gonna start my series on those manila folders. You could use instead some cardboard or maybe those heavy magazines, whatever you feel isn't too expensive. I have this in my stash since I don't know how long. It is a little bit sturdier than just computer paper, printer paper. Cardstock would be a good way too, so just go look around what you could use. I'm gonna make a background on each side of those, and I always gonna start with gesso, just to have every time a somewhat even start. So with no further ado, let's do it. If you don't have a spatula, maybe you have a spoon which you don't need any longer. Don't use it for food afterwards, please. So it works well too. So and as a palette, I use the lids from the food. I just keep them. And wet wipes are always easy to find everywhere, and they are not expensive, which we can use too. Any sort of gesso would work. It's mostly a question of personal preference. Some are more gritty than the others, so go look around what you like, and they don't have to be expensive. If you don't have a heat gun, you certainly have a hairdryer. It works too. So today's plan is to have those peeled paint effects. What I use for that is Vaseline or petroleum jelly. So it acts as a resist for the acrylic paint, which we're gonna use afterwards, which are craft paints. The other thing we're gonna use is the really inexpensive brushes from IKEA in the kids section. I'm pretty sure they are available worldwide. Or any other brush. Sometimes if you go to the home improvement stores, just for the backgrounds. If you don't want to paint fine details, they work fine. So I'm gonna use the fingers to make mark with the Vaseline. You can see the shine where I did put it. Somewhat. I'm actually gonna zoom you in a bit. So everywhere where you see the shine, I did apply some Vaseline. Just in little spots, no rhyme, no reason. To protect the other pages, I use some parchment paper because I wanted I don't want the paint to go on the other sides. Parchment paper just works fine. And I reuse it, as you may see. So, a little bit. Okay, here we are. So my next step is adding some color. I have all kind of colors, and I'm gonna start with the lightest one, which is yellow. And I add a little bit of water, not too much. And start painting all over. No rhyme, no reason, just adding color. The first layer. Right over the Vaseline too. I'm probably gonna need a little bit more. You always can add more paint. So I tend to start small. My size is approximately a letter size or an A4 size for those with the metric system. You can make it smaller if you want. I just wanted you to see in a bigger piece. And of course you can apply those techniques to canvas, to gravel boards, to your art journal pages, whatever. I even need a little bit more. There are parts where there is not so much gesso, so you get another effect too with the paints, but I tried to paint more or less the whole surface of this folder. Next week I'm gonna work on the inside. I'm gonna put the backgrounds on all four sides of this folder, but I'm gonna have an extra folder where I write down what I have used and how I have used. So I have it as a reference later. So that has to dry again. I'm gonna use the heat gun or you use the hairdryer, and then I will be back. So our yellow is dry. Next I'm gonna use the Vaseline again. You can sort of see it where it was. This blobs, the glossy, still whitish blobs, or the Vaseline. I'm gonna go add other layer, sometimes overlapping, sometimes not. No rhyme, no reason, just applying in some spots. And you have to tilt it a little bit to see where you have already applied. I think I'll leave it like maybe here a little bit. Okay, that's it. Next I'm gonna use copper paint. Which is clogged. Just in case you don't have needle tools, those wooden skewers work well too. So don't think because you don't have a thing it doesn't work. Again, I'm gonna add a little bit water, and while I was looking for my needle tool, couldn't find it, so I did use the skewer instead, and find also the other brush from IKEA, which I think is a little bit better for that type of. So it's actually a set of 5 different kind of brushes. Go check it out. Again, going over the Vaseline and the whole page. Remember, we want to do a peeled effect, so we don't put in any patterns, we just add layers of paint, different colors. So again, I'm gonna dry it with the heat tool and I'll be back. Okay, I'm sorry for the glare, it's a metallic paint, but I'm gonna go over with the matte paint again. So I do the same thing again. I grab some Vaseline and apply it in certain spots. Again, no rhyme, no reason, and trying to overlap in some areas. But also try to hit new areas, of course. Then I'm gonna use the orange this time, which is a matte again. Oops, probably a little bit too much. Thin it out a bit for easy applying. So if you have the little bits and pieces, that's probably from the paint that is already peeling off from the areas where you had the Vaseline. But I actually don't want it yet, so try to be careful over the areas where you have the Vaseline. You know the drill. I'm gonna dry it, gonna clean my brush and my palette, and I will be back. By the way, if you don't want to use the heat tool, you totally could just leave it for an hour or two and it would be dry too. So I have applied another layer of Vaseline, somehow the camera didn't pick it up, and went in with the light purple. Did the same thing as before, added some Vaseline and went in with paint. Now it has to dry again. So my next layer gonna be the red. First again the Vaseline. I try to hit as many spots as possible which haven't the Vaseline yet. Means I want to reveal the colors underneath later. You can do that in any color combination you like. I did stick with the somewhat warm colors. Copper is a warm, yellow is warmish, orange and red is warm. But you could totally do that with cool colors and maybe silver. Now I want a really good coverage with red now. So I'm gonna need quite a bit. So now that has to dry too. And then I will be back. So now comes the fun part. Take a paper towel and scrape it. Wherever you have the Vaseline, the acrylic paint can't stick. Now I try to get rid of as much of the Vaseline as I can. And if I want to paint over, I probably would add a layer of clear gesso. I do apply a little bit of pressure. So here we have our first background. See you next time.